beautiful souls. Welcome to this week's Karma Cards. I am your host, Therese Tucker, and I'm so excited to have you here with me today. So we are inside the Eclipse tunnel right now, the portal, if you will. We entered it on September 7th with a full moon and total lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces. And this is conjuncting the North Node. So the North Node of the moon is currently in the sign of Pisces. The nodes talk about where we've been and where we want to go. So when we're looking at the North Node, this is about where we want to go. Pisces is the final sign in the zodiac wheel before it starts over again. So if you think about the zodiac wheel, all the signs starting with Aries, moving all the way through Pisces, it's like we're looking at the progression of a person moving through a lifetime. And when we get to Pisces, we're crossing over the veil, right? We're going back into the non-physical, back to oneness. So when we're in a North Node in Pisces, it's a very spiritual time, and it's getting us to think about what we desire. We desire to move into a more unified field. We desire to move into a collective connection with each other. Whether we're seeing it or not, that's where we desire to go. So when we hit an eclipse point, it's like a power disruption. And for me, there's like a portal opening. A lot of people get that. It feels like a little tunnel that we're going through from the first eclipse to the second, because we have another eclipse following that on September 21st with the solar eclipse in the new moon in Virgo, which is the second new moon in Virgo. And we'll go over that when we get closer to it. But it's like we're going through this tunnel right now. And what caused us to enter this tunnel is that desire for oneness. So guess what's happening? Within that, there is a transformational energy as we're moving into this space. We've got a lot of planets, outer planets in retrograde right now, which internalizes the energy. And there was a big theme on the full moon in Pisces that talked about an inner reorientation, that something is getting rewired. So whenever we're working with full moons, we're working with something ending or something leaving. And a total lunar eclipse is like, it's done, right? The power to it is cut off. And part of it is how we are underestimating ourselves and our ability. Maybe we're underestimating ourselves collectively as well, especially if you're looking at the outside world and you're like, how are we ever going to get unified in a world that looks so disorganized, right? How are we ever going to find each other in a world that feels so scattered and separate? That's an underestimation of who we are. And we do this on the internal level too. We underestimate who we are and our own ability. And maybe that comes from years of programming and psychological beliefs that there isn't that much there. We know that a lot of people struggle with the idea of enoughness or being worthy. And so naturally that's going to lead to an underestimation of abilities. Well, with that total lunar eclipse, new moon, it was very focused on what's your big dream in life. And for a lot of people, there's just this energy that there's something more. There is something more, whether it's something more in your experience, like what you do or who you meet or where you live, or something more about how more of you seems to come through. There is this energy that there is something more here and it needs to come through. And when we see that with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction is talking about your big dream, and Saturn's like, you're going to make it real now, right? We need to get to the nuts and bolts of how to make this real. What is it going to take to make this moreness come through? And right now, both of those planets are in retrograde. So that's directed internally. It's like, what's it going to take? What are the thoughts? What are the things that are happening, maybe that I'm doing, patterns of behavior, the thoughts I'm thinking that are blocking me from this moreness coming through me, right? And then on the new moon, there was that conjunction, which has been playing out for a while, since about the middle of the year, a little bit more than that maybe. And now we've got this sextile with Uranus and Neptune. And my team jokingly said this is like TNT when you put these two together. It's like a plasticine bomb type thing where you take two materials, you put it together, and you make an explosive. That's what Uranus and Pluto coming together do. Uranus is the plot twist planet, the breakups and shakeups and breakthroughs and the plot twist, if you will. And Pluto is the revolutionary. It's like, if it's not good for me, it's not happening anymore. It's the purifier. It's a purifying through truth and a revolutionary total shake-up energy. When you put the two together, it's explosive. Well, both of those planets are also retrograde, which means it's an internal explosion. And when you've got these two planets in sextile with the conjunction between Saturn and Neptune, the big dream maker, it means some dynamite's been added to the blocks, if you will, of your enoughness, of your moreness, whatever you want to call it. There's something more trying to come through. And guess what has to be internally reorganized? Are all these self-limiting beliefs, self-limiting behaviors, patterns, whatever it is, where you underestimate yourself. Guess what? It's time for the explosion. So we're in this transformative window where explosions will hopefully happen. And if we are open to that, we get to be the one who sort of pushes the detonator rather than the universe going, detonate, like it's time. Oh, you're waiting too long, detonate, right? We want to be part of the demolition crew willingly rather than feeling like things are being demolished for us. So we're inside that window right now where you will be confronted and challenged with the self-limiting beliefs and the thoughts and the things that keep you out of your enoughness or your moreness, or anything that's keeping you out of that big dream where you're like, gosh, I know I don't carry this in my heart just as like some hopeful energy. I feel like it's mine. I feel like it's meant to be in my experience, and I can't tolerate not getting to experience this much longer. Your level of tolerating less than what you are is going down. It's time to bring it all out. And so that's what this window really is showing me, is that that's the time that we're in. And when I look at the message I got from the team this week, they are talking about, don't push. You don't have to, first of all, you don't have to run and detonate the bomb. The bomb is going to go off. And what I mean by that is that internal aha, the breakthrough energy is going to come. You don't have to force it. You don't have to push it to lean into it. Just allow it, that whatever needs to be shown to you will be shown to you, right? So you don't have to force yourself into a reorientation. The reorientation is unfolding in its own time. Let it unfold. And if you want to be a part of it, you're open to it, right? It's like, okay, if I need to see something about how I'm behaving right now, show it to me. If I need to see a self-limiting belief, let me see it, right? Versus I got to go find it. So there is a bit of like a passive feeling about leaning in on this one, instead of like, I need to actively journal and really sweep the mind for whatever the thoughts are. It's like, no, you just need to hold the space for it and understand that in these periods of time, a big way that we get the awareness is through that feeling of being tested, right? Am I being tested right now? Are you testing to see my limit somehow, universe? We might get that feeling like, why do I keep having to have the same experience where I keep feeling frustrated, or I keep feeling disappointed or let down, or whatever it is? That's where we're at right now. There is a sense of being pushed or tested here. And notice too that our knee-jerk reaction when these moments come up where it's like, you get to see it now, you get to see the self-limiting belief, our first reaction to it isn't like, oh, okay, thanks for showing me that. Our first reaction to it, how you kind of know that you're in that test, if you will, is we get really defensive, right? We're like, screw you for pointing that out, or how dare you say that I have a closed mind here, or whatever the thing is. You'll find that our knee-jerk response to it is to get reactive and self-defensive. And if that's coming up, in this next 2-week window, there's the gold, right? Understand that, oh, that moment is the test. This is the thing that I can look at where I can now allow this to collapse, right? If I'm ready to experience more of my energy, more of myself, that more fullness in my life, this is the thing, that point of irritation, that point of like self-defense and defending something. This is the moment where our strength in facing it, that's the leaning in. Can you look at that as it comes up? Not always easy, but so powerful. And like I said, you can let it be seen by you. That's the leaning in. You don't have to force it. And consider, what would this look like if I completely changed my approach to it? Something we tend not to do when we're self-defensive. Usually we're trying to protect that mechanism because on some level we think that's right, or we think we need it, or we think it keeps us safe. There's something there that's like, hey, you're not going to let this go because this saves me or this protects me. It takes a lot of courage to question the mechanism that gets triggered. For example, let's say you were working on something and you asked for some feedback on it from someone. And you're really proud of the work that you did. You've worked on it for a long time. This is based on a true story. It's not about me, but I will save. It was about somebody else who asked me for some feedback. And I gave this beautiful person some feedback. And their response to it was to get hurt, get upset, right? Like, how dare you? But it was like, but you asked for feedback. And I asked that person, was it feedback you wanted, or was it validation that you were looking for? And she was really stumped. She didn't quite know what she wanted. When she really thought about it, she went, no, I want feedback because I want to improve. But there was a part of her that also wanted to be validated on top of it, who wanted to be told this is fine, this is good enough, right? So it's like, well, it's hard when we get critiqued, right? Whether, even if it's valid criticism, even if it's a critique that will help you grow, it's easy to get hurt by that and take it as this means I'm not enough. And that's the thing that got triggered, right? As soon as you get that feedback, the trigger is, this means I'm not enough. And it takes a lot of internal strength to hear that reaction in yourself, to step back and say, but does it really mean that? Does it really mean that I'm not enough? And what do I really want? Why did I ask for it? Because on some level, part of this person wanted to move forward and wanted to create something even stronger. Something that they felt even more aligned with, because they could feel something was off, right? So this is where it gets hard, because again, that knee-jerk reaction, there it is. I received a critique, and my reaction is, that means I'm not enough. And then I shut down and I stop listening. Where the growth point, or the thing that allows more of you to come through, would be to hear the guidance that's pointing you in the direction you desire to go in. So these moments are hard. Now, I want to give kudos to her, because she did an amazing job moving through that. She really did. After I asked her, well, what do you want? Do you want the critique, or do you want the validation? And she took the moment to really consider, what is it she wants? And when she recognized that she wanted the critique more than being validated, and that she understood that the critique was moving her in the direction she desired to go, then she was able to release that resistance and that knee-jerk reaction of, this means I'm not enough. She was able to arrest that belief, blow it up, if you will, and allow herself to move in the direction and get a whole bunch more guidance and direction and knowledge about where she wanted to go. So she did a really good job, and I'm super proud of her. And that's the week that we're in. It doesn't always look like that, but what you can know is that self-defense can get triggered in these moments where that's where the TNT wants to be. So wherever you feel defensive, wherever you're trying to protect what's already happening, those are the points that have to get blown up. They have to be broken through so that you can see what's holding you back from much more, from your enoughness. If you're not experiencing that, these thoughts could be the things that are in the way. If you want to experience more, these thoughts could be the things that are blocking it, these beliefs, these reactions, these self-protections, whatever they are. And it is a process where you could force it, but it won't, you might not get it. When they're happening organically and the real reaction comes up, you can't like skip ahead and try to figure out where it is. It's better to let it happen organically so that you can truly see it, because most of these blocks that we're experiencing that keep us out of that more are subconscious. You don't know you're holding it. You might be like, yeah, I'm totally open to, a constructive feedback, constructive criticism. I love constructive criticism, right? I know that moves me forward. On a conscious level, you might understand that, but you don't know what happens when you are in a more vulnerable state, when you are putting yourself out there and asking someone to give you feedback. You don't know what is going to bubble up from the subconscious until that moment happens organically, as an example. So it's one of those periods of time where it's like there's work to do, but you can't preempt the work. The work has to happen organically, but when it does, try to stay open. Could they make it any more obtuse, this whole instructions? But there it is. And with that, I want to share with you this week's karma card message. If you're new to karma cards, let me quickly show you how they work. I've got 3 decks here: planets, signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology. And I've already asked my team, what is the message for this week? And I've got 2 sets of answers, a set in red, which are action related, and a set in blue, which are outcome related. And the way that you play is you tune in with that beautiful intuition of yours and feel what is the guidance most aligned for you this week. Is it how to take action? Is it being aware of how things are resolving? Or do you want to see both? And while you are choosing, let me tell you the timing for this reading. This reading is for September 9th through the 16th. And the flavor of this reading is kind of a heavy one. I mean, all the heavy hitters are here. We've got Saturn, and that is the work, slow down, things don't happen quite yet planet. It's a planet of karma and cleanup for sure. And the sign of Scorpio, which is getting down to the truth even if it hurts. In the 10th house, now this is the house ruled by Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. So Saturn in the beginning, Saturn in the end. The 10th house is about our external life. It's can represent your career, your public standing, your reputation, and what you put out in the world. All right, for those who are choosing action, your spiritual action at this time is to be realistic about the extraordinary power of prayer responsibly. Okay, so I hear my team say, they said, the reality of prayer is the asking. I think sometimes people think of it as the solving, right? If I pray, I get a solution. What you're asking for is probably a solution, but you're asking for divine help, divine intervention. And sometimes divine intervention looks like being confronted with what you need to work on. It's not always the soft, pillowy landing, I think, that sometimes we want it to be, right? We would like it to be that soft, pillowy landing so often. And that is the more idealistic version of what having your prayers answered means. What they're saying is the realistic version of having your prayers answered is that you're asking for divine help, divine intervention in some way. And many times that may come up with, please look at this. All right, please review your actions. Please notice how you respond when you are confronted with this scenario. What are you doing here? Let's get realistic about what you're doing, because You are co-creating your experience with the universe. So the one who ultimately has the power to create change in your life is you. Divine will help you by showing you the direction or the way in which that change can occur that would benefit you the most, that would have the impact for the highest good in your life as well as the lives that you affect. So sometimes seeing that, how you got to change, is one of the most uncomfortable situations. It doesn't feel like a pillowy landing. Sometimes it feels like a slap in the face, just like a constructive criticism might feel like a slap in the face. Ultimately, they serve that same purpose, where it's like, actually, this is the very thing you're asking for, the solution, right? This is the path to the solution. You're asking to improve something, right? This is the path to the improvement. This has to be dealt with. It has to be acknowledged. It has to be surrendered. It has to be worked through. That's the realistic part. Now, and it's ultimately for our good, and we know it's for our good. And I know that somewhere on maybe a soul level or something, we understand the design and we even appreciate it, because we came here to experience, not to have it done for us. We came here to do it. So I know that at some level, deep down maybe, we actually really appreciate how it's designed. And yet, sometimes we want that pillowy soft landing. They're like, how about a better life? Rather than just this nice cushy moment, how about improvement in general? Would you like that? Right? So, and that's what they're saying about be realistic about it. Mental action at this time. Be concerned about the highest and lowest aspects of success. This is with Saturn talking here, the be concerned and be realistic and all that. It's very heavy-handed feeling message. Although I don't feel the heaviness as it's being delivered. Okay, the highest aspects of success are like the feeling of achievement and accomplishment you get, that rush that you get, that you did exactly what you set out to do. That's an incredible high to get. The lowest feeling about success is that you are going to have to work and rework and crash into things, right? It's the lowest aspect of success. It's still success, is failure. But failure ultimately is what moves you forward, because you're never at the same spot you were when you started. So when the lowest aspect of success is failure, because at least it moves you forward. You still moved forward, right? If you take one step forward and fall on your face but stand back up, you're still one step forward versus not having taken a step at all. So failure moves you forward, but failure can be painful. It can be humbling. It can be soul-sucking sometimes, only in the sense that we never plan to fail. We fail because we're planning to succeed, right? So it can be one of those things where until you rewire how you experience failure and what failure means to you, it can feel kind of devastating. But that might be one of the things that you're like, maybe I need to rewire the idea of failure and see that I still move forward, right? How many times does an experiment go wrong before it goes right? How many times does a business plots before it picks up and takes off? How many times did you have to date someone before you found someone that really was compatible with you? I mean, all of that could be, construed as failure, but only if you're looking at failure as a negative word. So success contains both of those. There is a spectrum. It's got a lot of different layers to it. I am definitely a person who idealizes success. I want to experience those lofty highs, that feeling of achievement, of like my plan in my head, my experience in reality, they match. That's the highest ideal of success for me. So of course it's like that's what keeps you going. That's what gives you hope. But if you go all the way down to what's the lowest level of the experience, it's failure. But failure is still success. Physical action at this time. You must wait before you can control the situation and become a person of power and status. This is what I was hearing from my team before. It's like you can't, you might be hearing this and be like, I can do that. Let me go in there and just look at all my resistance. That's great, but again, The organic experience must happen so that we can see what's going on at the subconscious level. Therefore, we wait. We wait until we're confronted, and then we stay open and let it happen. We're like, oh God, my self-worth just went down because this happened. What's going on in there? That's the moment. Now I'm in a place where I feel the trigger. It's really happening. Now I look, now I see it. Now I try to understand, what am I thinking? What is my thought about that? So this thing happened that disappointed me and my self-worth goes down. What is the thought I have? The thought I have is, see, nobody ever wanted that from me, or I'm not lovable, or whatever it is. That's the thing. There it is. There's the subconscious bomb, right, waiting to go off. That's the thing that's got to be disabled and reoriented in the mind. But we can't control that moment. So trying to get ahead of it and being like, I'm smarter than the universe and I'm going to control it. Good luck on that. I've tried it. I'm sure you've tried it too. It's like, we're not going to, no, you might think you've got it. You might have it on the theoretical level. Let's put it that way. We might be able to get in there and be like, yeah, I've got feelings of unworthiness, but I know that I'm worthy. Okay, good. You know that on the theoretical level. But what happens when it happens to you? What happens when an event triggers it? Is it not triggered? Did your self-worth stay intact, or did it go down? If it went down, that means there it is. Something deeper than what you can rationalize consciously just happened. And there's the work. And then the power and status part, to become that person. That's the moreness I'm talking about, the enoughness. Right? Not necessarily the power and status that we see in the external world. The power internally feels like grounding. It feels solid. You feel good. You're like, nothing shakes this tree. The roots go deep. That's what power feels like in the body, is I'm good. I wish I could give you a more articulate response, but it's the visceral thing I feel whenever I've tapped into my power, is just, I'm good. I'm solid. That's that power. Status here is that in more. I feel like all of me is here. I feel that high level of myself is coming through. These are the things that we want. We want to feel that grounded, I'm good, and the highest version of me is here. We want those experiences, and we're willing to try and control the situation to get it. And like I said, on a theoretical level, we'll get it. But do we get it at the level of practice where it's happening in the body and in the subconscious mind? If we're still getting triggered by whatever the test is, then that means no, there's the rewiring, but that's okay. Just stay open to it. So feels, in terms of action this week, feels like we just have to let it happen is sort of the action. Now let's look at outcomes for Saturn in Scorpio in the 10th house of what you put out in the world, what your standing is. This one's good. Spiritual outcome, the maturity that brings purification to resurrect your destiny. I don't even have to close my eyes for that one. You can hear it right there, right? So again, the maturity is like having the experience and learning how to get through it in a different way, right? So when we look at people who've matured, they tend to be less reactive and more responsive. So when we're looking at our ability to mature through or reorient our internal compass, it's that ability to, yeah, maybe I react, but I can also respond to my reaction. I can be like, whoa, I got really insecure there. What is that about? What was the thought? Right? And get in there. And that's the moment where the maturity happens, because we're not going to continue to act from our knee-jerk reaction to it. We're not going to continue to work from that place. Instead, we're going to be like, wow, I did not anticipate that I would feel so hurt, or I did not anticipate that I would feel so threatened or insecure or whatever it is from that scenario, but I did, and I see it, and now I'm starting to question the thoughts and the process there because I recognize this is the block. That is a huge gift, and that is bringing the purification. That's the purification. I have rewritten the code right there when I can catch it. And your destiny is that fullness, that moreness I keep talking about. That's your destiny, that thing that you feel, your big dream where you're like, there's something more for me here. You're right. You are so right. There is something more for you here. It's hard to grok it sometimes, but we have underestimated ourselves in so many ways, and it's time to end this. That's not the paradigm we're living in. Underestimating ourselves, underestimating our collective, underestimating our connection to something bigger than us. All of that needs to come to an end, and it is. It's an old paradigm. It's the lower timeline. It's a timeline that many people desire to leave, and if you're listening to this, you are leaving it. This message doesn't resonate for people who don't want to see that. Everybody can see it. Not everybody wants to. So if you are listening to messages like these, you're already on the new paradigm, right? So the message to you is, hey, hun, you're more, way more. There's that moreness you feel, that like, oh, there's something bigger here. Yep, it's you. And it wants to come through. And it's asking you to just like lean in. Okay, we're going to go on a ride here, or we're going to do a little TNT work together. We're going to dismantle some blocks here. You might not be able to predict what those blocks are, but hey, just be open to it. When we hit that block, are you ready to blow it up with me? Because that's what we're going to do now, so that more of you can come in. Mental outcome at this time: caution regarding the secrets of where you are going. Okay, the secret of where you're going is this higher energy field, the higher timeline. We're already on it. It is evolving and unfolding. It's got to take you in slowly. You've got to adjust. The metaphor they're giving me is like adjusting to a higher altitude. So I live down at sea level. I'm in Washington State. We're close to the ocean. I'm at sea level. I have friends who live in Colorado. They're up in the mountains. And they're acclimatized to that. I've never been that high up in altitude. If I were to go up there, I would need to do things that would help me acclimatize. I would need to take it slowly. I wouldn't want to go from just sea level right to the highest point. I'd probably get really sick. I'd probably feel really out of it, right? So what they're saying is like, you can't rush this. You don't want to like take control of this and be like, let's blow up the whole thing. Like, how about one day we just show me all the blocks and I blow them up? Yeah, that's like taking from sea level to the highest point in altitude. You get really sick. It would feel like an overdose of detoxification. Purification feels best and is more tolerable when we do it a little at a time, right? Because if we can trigger like a detox kind of sickness where all those toxic thoughts, all the toxic energy comes up at once and we just feel terrible. Nobody needs to look at every pattern they have to break all at once. That would be overwhelming mentally. Think about it. Like, imagine confronting every limiting belief you're holding, confronting every negative pattern, every protection mechanism you have in place to keep yourself safe from what you're unconsciously afraid of, all at once. That would be a hard day. Like that would be very overwhelming. So it's not advised. It's not necessary. And that's why they're like, hands off. Just lean in when you see it. Otherwise, continue with life as usual. Go about your day. And then when the moment happens, there's a purification moment. Just lean into it. Be like, oh, this is a opportunity right here. How long will it take you to lean in too? I mean, like, that's something we all have different tolerance levels for this. Some of us have been working on it for a long time, so you can have a faster turnaround where you're upset for a few minutes and then you see it and then you're like, okay, and you work through it. Others of us have to sit with it for a while and be like, I'm still really upset that happened, until they recognize they're upset. So it's got to be adjusted to what you can tolerate, and that's why they're like, just go about your day as normal. The test will come when you can see it. Lean in, and that'll take care of the rest, because you'll start asking the right questions and reorienting the mind. All right, physical outcome at this time: limits imposed resulted by the power of what you put out in the world. I'm just hearing that there's a little bit of a feedback situation. So let's say we do get reactive. Okay, let's say we're in a scenario. I've asked for some constructive criticism. I get the criticism and it hurts, and I'm like, ow, well, that was a jerky thing to say. Why would you? Don't you know how hard I worked on this? Don't you know how long I've been working on? Let's say that was my reaction. Well, I just put some feedback out. Now I got a little cleanup to do, right? Because the situation was, can you help me? Sure, here's some help. Oh my God, how dare you help me? Right? That's the sort of subtext of it all. Now I got to clean that up before I can get to doing the internal work. So all they're showing me is like, depending on how strong your reaction is and what results from that, you might have to do a little bit of exterior cleanup, like make it good, be like, wow, I'm so sorry, knee-jerk response, I felt insecure because I worked really hard on this, whatever it is. You clean that up, then it goes internal, and then you're like, okay, here we go, this is the work. So all they're showing me is like the more external the more external involvement there is may delay the purification internally, because you still have some outside work to do. You got to make it good out there, and then you work on what's going on in here. So it's not a purely internal process, because probably the things that trigger the awareness is an external trigger, right? And if we're still reactive, if unconscious parts of us bubble up and are like, no, we're going to have to do with that. So it's not a smooth process. It's not like journaling, where you're like, oh, there it is, and I see the wound, and now I'm going to change my mind. It's an active, real-time, maybe slightly messy process where we're probably going to make a mess that we have to clean up before we can clean up the other inner mess that's going on. So we just have to, again, acknowledge the strength and self-love and dedication it takes to want to face it. Doesn't matter if you do a good job, if you catch it before it happens, probably not. I don't know if I've ever, maybe once or twice that I can think of recently, that I managed to catch it ahead of time. Most of the time, if it's unconscious, you don't even catch it until it happens, right? So it's not about perfect, and it's not about internally catching that. That comes with time. The more we do that kind of work, where we recognize it and then we rewire it, the easier it will be to preemptively catch it. It's really about acknowledging that you desire to do it. That you have a desire to bring more of yourself and more to your experience, and experience your fullness. And what a lovely gift that is, to give to yourself and to the people around you, that you will do that work, that you want to, that you are in the zone of contemplating and holding that as a possibility in your life. Part of that is recognizing that internal strength and the courage it takes to have a desire to want to grow and reorient and heal. That's a really beautiful attribute to hold. And if you're listening to this, I know that you hold it. And it's not about judging ourselves in the process. It's the willingness to try and to just know that the universe really does have your back. Even if sometimes you're like, wow, that wasn't what I wanted. That's not the solution I wanted. That's not the comfy, fluffy pillow I was hoping you'd give me, universe. But they're like, yeah, but you want to change your life from this day forward. You want to see things improve. And you're like, you're right, I do. And they're like, that's the way. So with that, I am sending you so much love. Mwah.